When trying to flip, we all get cut. Alright, take two. When trying to flip, we all get our buy prices over. Cut. Alright, take three. When trying to flip, we all get our buy prices overcut and our sell prices under. Cut. Right, isn't that what flipping feels like sometimes? Every time you put in an offer, moments later, someone already cut your price. It's like the #1 most hated thing in merchanting, and yet many people still do it themselves. The thing most people don't get, however, is that not every price change means someone is cutting your prices. So let me clear up some misconceptions about price cutting for you in this video. Hey guys, it's Divine for Merch.com. Okay, so first off, if you're watching this video and you cut the prices that you price checked while flipping, stop doing that. You're only making things worse for yourself. If you want to learn how to flip properly, then check out the flipping guide for beginners that I made, which includes tips about finding items, how long you should take to flip them, and what to do if you're losing money. If you have a friend who cuts prices while flipping, then send them that video too so they can learn how to do it properly this time. When reading through and responding to the trial feedback on merch, it's mostly very positive, and sometimes there are complaints. And the #1 complaint that I see is that too many people are cutting the prices and they can't make any profit. Now, some people even blame this on merch, not realizing that at any given time there are tens of thousands of players online with thousands merchanting. We do have hundreds of people sign up to the merch live prices, but at any given time there are, I think the maximum I've ever seen is 25 VIPs online at once, and usually it's more like 10. We have 87 items in just the live prices, so the chances of a handful of other VIPs cutting your prices at every turn versus the thousands of people outside of merch doing that are very small. The thing is though, even if everyone who flips would not cut the prices that they price check, you would still frequently see margins shrink. When a margin shrinks by a lot, this is actually rarely caused by intentional price cutting. After all, to get in front of someone else in the line, all it takes is a 1 GP difference. If you're flipping an item with a profit margin of 800 GP, it would take up to 400 offer changes to cut the profit margin in half. There is no way people will collectively change their offers 400 times before their limits get filled, before the item instant bought up or is dumped. So the reason why margins sometimes drastically shrink isn't intentional price cutting, but inactive flippers, investors, and all the other players. Let's look at all three here. First off, the inactive flippers. Let's say I'm very experienced with flipping uncut onyxes, up to the point where I'm comfortable with inactive flipping them without even price checking. If the current buy price is about 1506k and the current sell price about 1530k, and I don't know that as I didn't price check, then I may put in an offer to buy 100 of them at 1525k, as that would be a good lowball offer considering the past few days. Now I just cut the buy price by 20k, but that wasn't intentional. Those who were trying to actively flip it may get pissed now and blame price cutting, but that's not what happened. I wasn't some impatient kid trying to flip something faster. I just did what I thought was best, keeping the past few days in mind, but it did decrease the active flipping margin without me knowing that. Now this is why it is always best to price check an item if you can, and as we all know though, this is often not a good idea if an item has a limit of 10 per 4 hours or lower. As a result, you will see a lot of profit margins cut simply by people estimating prices for inactive flips. It's not like I could have known that Noxious Longbows had a 4 mil profit margin just now, for example. If I'm used to flipping them for 2 mil and I do it with that in mind, then yeah, I may shrink the profit margin. It's pointless and silly to get mad at people for destroying a margin like that, as they simply didn't know and there was no way for them to know. You're better off spending your time to inspire people to aim for bigger margins. I very often get questions from people asking how some of you guys manage such large margins on the merch logs, while they are struggling to get even half that when you're trying to flip the item. So you are inspiring them to do better, and that's what you should keep doing. Secondly, let's look at how the investors can drastically decrease a profit margin, taking those same uncut onyxes as an example again. Let's say yesterday I put in a buy offer for 2,000 of them at 1540k. Every 4 hours, 100 of them will buy. So while the buy price is 1506k and the sell price 1529k, and I get off my 4-hour limit, I may ruin that profit margin, as suddenly the buy price will be 1540k. Now it doesn't mean I'm actively trying to ruin the margin, it doesn't mean I'm actively trying to cut people, it just happens as I'm stocking them for the long term. You can't expect an investor to constantly price check items to ensure that they don't ruin the profit margins of flippers. They don't care, they're in it for the long run, so they probably aren't going to be nitpicky about a small difference. And thirdly, there are the regular players. When you're selling things from your bank or you need specific items to train, you will either instant buy or instant sell it if you need it urgently, or you will put the offer in at what you consider a fair price. Now, very few people are going to price check the item they're trying to get rid of. Now, if I want to sell the 10 Ankaronyxes that I got from PVM, I may think 15-25k is a good price, and I just undercut your sell price in doing so. But again, it wasn't intentional. So next time a profit margin changes by a lot, don't blame impatient price cutters. Think of these scenarios and realize that if a margin just changed a lot, it may just be temporarily and worth waiting out until their offer is filled. It's only when people cut you by 1 GP at a time that it's seriously annoying, and that's when they're actually intentionally doing it. All the other cases are probably something else. Now, in the meantime, I ask all of you to stop wasting time and energy on hating price cutting. It's much better spent educating others to not do it. Help them see why it's a bad idea, and don't yell at how much you hate it at people that already know this. I hope this video cleared up what is and isn't over and undercutting. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all again next week for another cut.